Sláinte, Prost, cheers. Welcome to our living room where we're going to be conducting our second ever farm tour. It's going to be a little different. Last time we did this was outside in the very beginning of spring.
I think it was like Easter.
Yeah, it was Easter. And now, obviously, we're inside because of snow. So last week was our anniversary, and I think what's kind of cool about our anniversary, it falls in the beginning of December, and it's a great reflection time. You look back at kind of what our goals have always been and what happened over this entire season. I think a lot of farmers look at in winter as a reflection period, so it's kind of cool for us to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, reflection and planning and just figuring out where we headed next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So we wanted to do a walk around and then kind of show what we've been up to, and some of that stuff's been included on Instagram and the pictures and whatnot, but we ended up getting about 8 to 10 inches of snow yesterday into today, so really wouldn't be able to see much. It is beautiful, but kind of hampering the farm tour for now.
So we figured what would make sense was to maybe go back to where we were back in April. And I think, you know, we spent the last 6 months being crazy frantic and thinking, we gotta get this done, we gotta get this done. I mean, we have tried to accomplish a lot, but we have accomplished a lot.
Yeah, I feel like the goals, it was realistic, it was attainable. And the other day we were kind of thinking like, geez, I wish when we saw this storm was coming, I was like, I still have stuff I need to do. And then you look back at what we've done since then, or even just in 2020, and you're like, you know what? Don't be so hard on yourself. Like, we did pretty good.
We did a lot.
So we got a lot to do during the winter here, and there's plenty we can do, even when there's snow on the ground. And that'll just set us up for next year. But I think it's pretty interesting. We're 2 weeks shy of New Year's Eve. So this is kind of like our end of year reflection time, but it's more prompted by the fact that the weather has locked in here, and we're probably looking at
Snow.
being locked down with snow for a while, which is nice. It's good to force us to kind of slow things down and enjoy the snow with our kids and do some cross-country skiing, some downhill skiing, and just kind of cozy up next to the fire and make plans for what we need to do. And I got plenty of work. Like still got to clear another plot of land. I can do that during the winter.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think because we're farmers, but we also have kind of always lived our life outside, or a focus on the outside, we tend to sort of celebrate the seasons more. We go by more the solstices than, you know, marked holidays. And I find that we lean ourselves more that direction the further along we get with the farm. And I think we should maybe talk a little bit about why the farm is. What is oak and ash? I don't think a lot of people know what that is. And why we're doing what we're doing. And I think back to when we first started dating, our first real date, we went for a hike and we talked about just what our life goals were. I was gonna move to Colorado, you were gonna go work Border Patrol in Maine. We were like, oh, this is gonna work out great. But one of the things that we shared in common was a love of the outdoors. And I remember us talking about this weird sort of dream we had of wanting to be able to one day live in the woods. I grew up in the woods with, you know, a big garden. We weren't a farm, but we gardened and ate off of our land, and you grew up kind of similar.
Yeah, not so much in the woods, but you know, my parents always kept a garden. Both grandparents always had gardens. I grew up spending a lot of time in rural Maine. blueberry fields. And
But we shared this dream of, I remember saying, I just want my property to be like Willy Wonka's factory where you can just walk around and everything is edible. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. And I think it kind of comes back to that. And so we're sort of living the dream. We're building that on our property, and the dream has evolved, and we've become more conscious of regenerative agriculture and doing what's right for the environment, and leaving permanent things in forests, but making it work for us. So we're replacing forest that isn't necessarily edible with things that are.
yeah, I mean, I think so. We've been at this house for almost 6 years now, and I think with the mindset I have now, if I was looking for a piece of land or whatever, maybe we would have bought something that was, knowing what I've kind of morphed our view into, we probably would have bought something that was existing farmland that was kind of
With the mind of
used and
being
abused
regenerative.
and work on regenerating it. But
Hello, Kat.
we've been here for, like I said, almost 6 years now, and we've a lot of blood, sweat, and tears here. So this is the hand we've been dealt, and we're just going to do the best by it. So this is a forest here, and we are slowly clearing certain areas so they can become more beneficial to us, and we can mold those. So we're using the timber frames I'm building. Those are all from the trees that fell. The market garden timber frame shed is all from trees that fell like 50 feet from where that thing stands now. So it's
That tree you didn't want to cut.
yeah, and I don't take cutting trees down lightly, because I anything that's a nice tree I want to keep here. But at the end of the day, we're doing this to feed humans, and you can eat acorns if you process them a lot. We made acorn
It's a
flour
pain
this
in the
year,
butt.
and it's a pain in the butt. So there's better ways to feed humans, and this forest right here probably hasn't been pastured in 100 years, or at least, I bet, and the soil's very shallow. So that's what we're trying to demonstrate here. We look at this as kind of like a case study. So as not so much the market garden is what it is. Annual crops aren't the best thing, but behind that, we're gonna do all the tree rows we've talked about. And we'll have more videos about that as those go in, and even, we should do a rundown with like the plan that I drew up and exactly what that's going to constitute. But then we're going to run the chicken tractors through there, and we're going to see and measure and document it, and we're going to see how much soil we can actually build. And
What was formerly like lumber forest, basically, so you have forest soil, but it's not that deep.
no,
We've
that's
shown.
very shallow, yeah.
So how much more can we build that? And I don't think people have really done that. I think people have done, this is different than, like Matt said, a piece of land that has been clear cut and farmed the traditional way, and the fertility has come off the soil. Even if there were animals pastured on it, it's not that great of soil. But that is a common model, to take a field that's already there, that's already cleared, and to put in your permaculture and your silvopasture. But are people really clearing forests to put a different kind of forest in? I don't know if people are really doing that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it is. We have a lot of colleges around us, a lot of agricultural schools, and we hope that we can partner with them and we can help teach the next generation of farmers how to do it regeneratively and properly.
Yeah, and if this case study proves the point, then yeah, we might take on another property and actually do a regenerative type thing. But we got to build what we have now and make it work for us. And so a lot of different systems coming in, and so this year's big thing, we're getting ready to launch our website, and we'll start taking orders for our CSA that we're doing, and we're calling it a farmstead CSA.
Yes, it's a farmstead style CSA, which is a totally different model. I don't know of anybody around us that's doing it. And we have a lot of CSAs around us, and they're great. We have a CSA ourselves. But what's different about what we're trying to do is we really are trying to help immerse people in this entire experience of this small farm, and help pass any knowledge that we gain on to other people, because that's kind of why we're doing it. What is the point of learning something if you're not going to help educate other people? And I think we both come from sort of education-y backgrounds. I have a degree in education that I don't use, so it would be nice to actually use it. But we're trying to fully immerse people. So what a farmstead style CSA is, and will be really interesting to see how successful this model is. I do think it will be successful, especially in this area, is basically the simplest form of it is you get a small portion of everything we grow on our property throughout the year. During the summer months, it'll look more traditional, like root vegetables, greens, the focus on greens throughout the entire year, because that's what people want. And then, as things start to shift towards fall, it's going to be a little different. And as we get into the winter months, you'll get things like maple syrup and greenery to decorate. It'll also include farm-to-table dinners, what we call thank you dinners. And they'll sort of align with the seasons, more or less. And you are going to get a amazing experience of this farm-to-table dinner as part of sort of welcoming you into our family, because that's what this farm is. So you'll get this great dinner, and you'll get to meet each other and us and ask us questions. And it's also going to be, we're going to be running educational programs or just classes, even if it's something as simple as like, how do you dry herbs? And I'll be doing some more cooking videos that will be specifically for our CSA members. Obviously, if you're not anywhere near us, you can still join some of these classes virtually, or you can join them locally if you're not part of our CSA for a fee. But for CSA members, it's about being a part of the farm. Getting the handful of raspberries that we can offer you every single week, and a little portion of everything we're growing. So it's going to be pretty cool. I think it's going to be really cool, actually.
Yeah,
soap, homemade soap, carved spoons.
Yeah, some small wood crafts, which are all from on site here. So it's just about reaping the bounty of, and by no means when we're talking about clearing land, like the majority of this just shy 8 acres is going to remain as some type of forest. So a lot of it's sugar bush. I got some spot up back that I'm kind of playing with some European models of forestry, coppice and pollard, and going to do some studies on that to see
Maples, on the maples. That'll be really
how
interesting
maples.
to see.
I know maples, coppice, and pollard very well. I've cut them before, and they coppice on their own. So is that a model for a forestry method that's not utilized in America as much? So
especially where we're in maple syrup country. So we already produce maple syrup. It will be interesting to see if you can increase the production. I think part of the requirements to be organic maple syrup is you can't tap a tree.
There's a size limit on it.
There's a size limit. So when you
I'm not
coppice
sure
it,
what it is.
it might change that.
Well, but the pollard, and see if it can kind of make younger trees move along a little quicker and get that diameter to bump up quicker than it would if it was just in the forest. But yeah, so we rebranded ourselves as a forest farm too, and changed our logo, and just what that means is kind of the way we see this land everywhere here, we're incorporating trees. So in the market garden, I planted some fruit trees down there, right down the middle where plot 1 and plot 2 will be. All along the edge is going to be other tree systems, behind that tree rows. So even though we're doing annuals in the market garden, the emphasis is on perennials. And tree crops and shrubs and things that can feed humans, but also are done in a method where it's kind of self-sustaining.
So a lot of people don't know what the name Oak and Ash is. We do have a really cool logo. Thank you, Stephanie Audette Design. She did an amazing job with our logo, really helping. She wanted to make sure she understood what our whole focus was, and I think she did a really great job. If you actually look at our logo, there are two trees wound together, and there are echoes of the Ogham symbols for an oak tree and an ash tree, which is kind of how we came to be.
Yeah, so the Ogham symbols are ancient Celtic symbols. It was basically a text they used, and different lines would intersect in their perpendicular lines indicate different tree species. So if you look at the zodiac symbols in the Celts, they're all trees instead of animals, instead of mythological animals. So we looked at it. I was doing some research on it and intrigued by it, and I found out I'm an oak tree and Lindsey is an ash tree. So when we had built our house here, and we were kind of, every farm needs a name, and we were just thinking, and we were like, that somehow that came up, and we're like, Oak and Ash Farm. We're like, perfect.
Just made sense.
It just sounded good. It rolled off the tongue, and it's made sense to us ever since. So we used our original symbol that Lindsey had done up, and she got me like a sweatshirt with it on, or a fleece. And some people have some swag, some family members with the early design.
Old school swag. I literally went out in the yard and took branches and stacked them. It was actually kind of cool because if you stacked the oak tree and the ash tree oghams on top of each other, it looked like a skeleton key. It was actually kind of cool. So I took some branches and put them in the scanner, scanned it, and made our first logo. Our new one is much more sophisticated than that.
Yeah. But, it's still the name.
Still the name.
Still love it.
Yeah, I still love it.
Yeah, so I guess let's recap what we've been up to this year.
Or if we go all the way back to April.
That's when we shot that last farm tour. It was Easter morning, and that whole farm tour came on the heels of the big thing. We were like, oh, hey, look at this maple pavilion we did. But that was the first big project of this year. And then at the time, we'd kind of identified this area down front here where we wanted to put the market garden. And I think at that time, I'd started kind of clearing some of the underbrush, maybe a little bit, like small saplings. I hadn't done anything heavy down there yet. But we had just found, hey, we want to do this down here.
Yeah. And you cut all the timbers from the trees that you cleared, and you dried them, which was huge.
Yeah, I started cutting down there, and I realized most of what was growing in that area was eastern white pine, which is what the first timber frame structure was out of. And then we're like, all right, well, we got all these trees. Why not another timber frame?
Let's build a market garden shed. And you milled them all?
Yeah, dropped them, felled them, then chainsaw milled them on the site there, and that's probably been the coolest thing to see happen with that. Was that knowing every single frame member that's down there was dropped and processed like 50 feet from where the structure now sits. So it's like, can you get any more local than that? I mean, 50 feet.
That's pretty old school.
Yeah, I mean, that's some pioneer stuff. But so we get this beautiful structure down there. We still got to side it, and the sided material will come from where plot 2 is going to be in the market garden.
And then the rest of it will go into the barn, because we're a farm without a barn, but that's in the making eventually.
Yes.
So you cut all the trees, you milled them, you dried them. So they weighed a lot less than the maple garden pavilion, because that was really heavy. And then you hauled them all into the basement and hand carved all the joinery. Then we hauled it back up and put it together on the ground and raised it. And that was big because it was way easier than, it was different because we actually poured a foundation by ourselves in a weekend. It actually wasn't that bad. You and I worked together and got it done.
2 days, 2 per pour, the footings, and then the slab.
So we did that in a weekend, and it was a little bit nicer than the maple pavilion, although the maple pavilion looks really nice now. You put some pavers in there, and we've got like a porch patio area basically. So you can go
dress that up. It'll be ready for maple season. I mean, I didn't get everything I wanted done there, but it's close enough for now.
It looks nice.
And just dress that area up. So yeah, we've been super busy, but I think the biggest thing of this year is just we finally refined our vision for where Oak and Ash is headed, what it's gonna be, what it needs to be, and what we need to do to make that happen. So this year, like, it's kind of funny. You get all these people like 2020 sucks, can't wait for it to be over, and we're like, this was a pretty good year for us here. Like this was really a time where we found our vision, found where we wanted to go, and like now once we had that clear cut vision of what we wanted to be, we've just kind of been making a lot of headway. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, we really organized ourselves and have charged ahead, and it's exciting. We're doing a lot of stuff. We're getting no-dig gardens in, and thanks to all the YouTubers, because we've learned a ton and really validated the vision for what we have. I mean, we know we're crazy. Everybody around us thinks we're crazy or knows we're crazy, and so do we. But we are doing this because we want to do this, and we realize that we're not the only ones doing it. So
yeah, it's just good to have that. Watch somebody else and like, oh, well, I'm doing the exact same thing I'm doing, and they just proved my point that can be done. So it's refreshing to have that. But enough about what I've been up to. Lindsey's got something really exciting she announced recently, and it's been a long time coming. And it's finally like the catalyst was here to make it happen.
Yeah, so I'm going to be writing a cookbook with all my free time that I don't have. This is something you and I have talked about for a long time. We're foodies, I guess, is what it comes down to. I have a background in culinary, but didn't go to culinary school. I am not a chef. I got accepted to culinary school and didn't go. But really, a lot of even when we were first dating, we would just go on food adventures, or whenever we travel, it's all about food for us. We love to cook. It's so much a part of our relationship and just who we are as people. And we've developed some really amazing recipes over the years. I always talked about writing a cookbook, and we just thought, you know what, we need to farm in a better place. We need to have a good idea of what we're doing there and really focus on that. And we're in a good place with that, finally.
Well, we just wanted, I feel like I wanted the cookbook to represent, I didn't want it to be like a lie.
Right.
I wanted to be able to walk the walk, talk the talk, and do everything. And be like, okay, this is how we do it. And I think a lot of the recipes reflect that. It's like, okay, these are things that we either do already grow here, or are starting to get established here, or like are already in order and they're going to be here this spring. So it's all things that we envision producing here, and we know we can produce here, and how to use them. It's like,
or get within a small area. I mean, New England is extreme. It's harsh, and what we can produce here is kind of amazing. We have a really short, intense growing season. We're zone 5 up here, and it gets really, really hot, and it gets really, really cold. And I think we've become really accustomed to just being able to go to the grocery store whenever we want and just get whatever's on the shelf, and you can get anything at any time. But this is seasonally arranged, so it is meant to be what you can eat every season that you can either grow yourself or get locally. And we're very blessed here. We live in the Pioneer Valley in Western Massachusetts, and it's kind of an embarrassment of riches out here. Everything from multiple dairy farms to pastured meat and eggs, any kind of vegetable that can possibly be grown here. So this is really kind of my love letter to New England and sustainable farming and eating seasonally and locally. And it's doable, and it's delicious, and it's wonderful. And so many of these recipes have evolved, some of them from things we were cooking before, and we've just sort of put a new twist on it. Well, how can we make that with what we have available? We have a grocery store that's 10 minutes away, but we never go there. So I would rather walk out my front door and pull herbs out of my garden, or carrots out of the ground and throw them on the grill even when they're this big because they're so good. So it's about using what you have available. And we do not live in Southern California, and we're not growing all the things as much as I love my citruses. This is about sustainable local eating. There's going to be some hazelnut recipes in there.
Yep.
Which is going to be a big part of our permaculture, regenerative agriculture. So
yeah, it's reflective of what we're doing. So we're an orchard, we're an herb farm, we're a market garden, we're a forest farm. We're like all these things. So it needed to.
There'll be game recipes in there.
Of all that, yeah.
There'll be game recipes in there. That's part of eating seasonally. There are game seasons. And you don't get to hunt much anymore, but we know a lot of hunters, and they fill us in with stuff. Just great. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's also going to be beautiful. We have the amazingly talented April Eve Images, who is going to be shooting all of the photos, and thankfully she only lives 3 minutes away, so it's very convenient for shooting all these recipes. All right, so what are our plans for the next 6 months?
Well, we got a lot of planning to do as far as our crop plan. Thankfully, we got right on it. Our tree orders were in November. We ordered our seeds. I mean, like with the pandemic, and I know we saw this back in the late spring, early summer, we were ordering things, and like a lot of stuff was sold out. So a lot of people are kind of finding their way back to the land, I feel like, with this pandemic.
Yep.
So we're like, all right, we need to get off on the right foot and just order this stuff way ahead of time than where I normally would have. So all that stuff's ordered, and now we got to figure out exactly where it's going to fall into our rotation.
Logistics.
So we've already started doing a lot of that, and yeah, a lot of planning, some more reflecting, figuring out what the next projects are going to be.
More timber framing, carving.
Clearing some more land for plot number 2, and
Lots of cooking, lots of writing.
Winter's kind of one of our more active seasons for us too, as far as like leisure sports. We're big cross-country skiers, downhill skiers, so get out, enjoy some of that time. And our oldest is like super excited about the skiing, so
My dad would have been so proud.
yeah, so this 8 to 10 inches of nice fluffy white stuff out at front has really got her excited. So more enjoying life, and
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome year. So thanks to everybody who supported us for the last couple of years. I know we're crazy. This vision of ours is crazy, but hopefully we're going to have some really, really great educational moments here where we can learn things and then pass that information on to you. We're hopefully going to be able to shoot a lot more videos and get them to you a little more efficiently. We're upping our technology game a little bit.
yeah, I feel like we're just kind of dipping our toes in the water with the video stuff, and then definitely look for more videos.
Yeah.
That's
we
it.
want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to see. You want more timber framing videos. You want more cooking videos. You're not going to offend us. Just let us know what you want to see more of.
Do you want less fireside chats?
I would be happy with that. Based on my end. We're happy to provide you with content because, again, we just want to pass on the knowledge that we have learned onto you. So anything that we learn and think you might want to know, we're going to put it out there for you, and hopefully you get a little education as well. So thanks for everybody that's tuned in, and keep your eye out for some more interesting videos, and be in touch.
Yeah, happy holidays. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, Slàinte mhath.
Slàinte mhath.
Prost and cheers.